I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sains. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to review the movie 1984, A Christmas Carol. There are many Christmas carols, but this one stars George C. Scott, Mark Strickson as young Ebenezer, Frank Finley as Marley's ghost. Angela Pleasance, daughter of Donald Pleasance, is in this movie, The Spirit of the Christmas Past. Edward Woodward, Spirit of Christmas Present. Michael Carter, Spirit of Christmas Future. David Warner is Bob Cratchit. David Warner is a hell of an actor. Susanna York is Mrs. Cratchit. No Miss Piggy and Mr. Kermit here for Cratchit. No. But yeah, this has a hell of a cast. I first saw David Warner in, like, I think it was the Superman series with Dean Cain in it, I think. That's the first time I ever saw David Warner in anything growing up. And then I saw him like literally a year later in The Omen, in the original Omen, which he plays a photographer, investigative reporter.
He loses his head.
So Warner has a pedigree that goes back to about 1960. He was in Tom Jones film with Albert Finney.
Morgan, A Suitable Case for Treatment.
Very young, very callow at the time, and you could almost see great things happening for him.
Yeah.
This was made for television. This one was. So this did not go to theaters. So guys, Patrick first. When did you see this, man?
1984. I saw it Christmas time, 1984. Life had been bad and life was good in that year, and this was capping it off. It was one of the best years of my life, and what a wonderful Christmas gift that in such a great year for movies, even made for television movies would be good and give us, what I think could be argued is the best or one of the two best versions of Christmas Carol ever filmed.
Yeah. Alan, when did you first see this?
Same deal. I saw it when it made its network premiere, 1984. It was a weird winter for me. I was doing my first season at Penobscot Theater in Bangor, Maine, which theater still exists, and it's sort of semi-equity now, which means it's semi-union now, but it wasn't back then. It was all non-union, and we were. I can't remember. We did a production of Christmas Carol that year, which I ran lights for. Yeah. And it was in the building was old and it was a little chilly. And we had two little tiny box dimmer sets that had 6 dimmers each on it. We only had 12
oh, good God.
dimmers. That was interesting because you do replugs and things like that, And also, if you needed to do certain cues, you had to use string and a pencil. So that was interesting. So you became very artful about how you did the lights with that severely limited technology. We didn't get a real 2-scene preset board for the first 2 years at least that I was working for that theater. So. But that was back in the day. That was 40 years ago. So,
I first saw this movie in 1998 when AMC aired it with 2 other George C. Scott movies, one Patton, and the other Exorcist 3.
Which is a good Christmas trio.
Yeah, that's a great Christmas, right? And here's the thing: it wasn't Christmas time when they aired it, but.
You can have your Nakatomi Plaza. I'll take the Omen.
Right, I did. AMC's lineup crazy back then. I've pretty much enjoyed every version of it, of Christmas Carol, and this one too. George C. Scott's a hell of an actor.
He's very good.
Yeah, very, very talented. Even especially when he was younger too. I mean, my God, The Hustler, he plays a hell of a heel. Mm-hmm. He's always great at playing heavies, and he especially when he plays a heavy that is converted into good here. Um, he did his acting to me never faded at all, even in his later years. Like when he did this, when he did The Exorcist 3, I thought he carried The Exorcist 3 really well. That movie, if you've ever seen it, really interesting.
You know, I like that. There's a George C. Scott movie where he squints and then says something really loud all of a sudden.
There's a few.
Which movie is that? Which George C. Scott movie is that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Especially if it's just like a word from out of nowhere, like some word in the
Hey,
sentence he picks.
The one that he squinted the hardest and made loud the most was Hardcore.
Oh God, yes. That's a good. I remember my mom was alive. We would always watch Hardcore and Cruising on Christmas. We'd watch Hardcore on Christmas Eve and Cruising Christmas Day.
Leather and corn, yes.
Yeah, you know, and
like just, chocolate and peanut butter.
It was just that to me that always says home.
Yes,
is those two films.
Home is where the other things are. Yes.
Now it's Sallow and Serbian film, and they do a lot of the same thing. You know, get you like Human Heart.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the? Sorry. What did you guys think of the cool designs here? Was this set designs here or no?
Some
there
set
were set designs.
Yes, and some locales.
Yeah.
Both, and it's brilliantly merged. And for instance, I think that some of the town locales, the broader scenes and stuff were done somewhere where they dressed up a street, an older street. Whereas something like the graveyard was a set where they could control all the atmospheric elements of it easily.
They did it. No, Jewel, I was just going to say, one of the things I think to appreciate that I think they did pretty well in this movie is they made London appropriately dark at night.
It's very
not as dark as it was. And one of the things that I think needs to be recognized about why Victoriana feels so scary, even though we can't put our finger on it, is that it was written at a time, and I think that it's just sort of in our racial memory. It's just like a DNA caveman altered states thing that we just remember it. Visibility in London at night, in the areas especially that this story takes place in, even the mercantile area where Scrooge, was sort of living, was zero.
Yeah,
at night.
It had very little lamp lights to light, basically.
The soot covered the sky.
Yeah.
So there was no starlight. There was no moonlight. There was a Windows tax. Everybody likes to about the violins, about the Industrial Revolution, how horrible the situation was. Well, it wasn't all the evil capitalists' fault. Some of it was there was a Windows tax, just like there was a tax for every room, and they included closets, which is why we have armoires and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the whole idea of London by gaslight. Well, there weren't that many gas lamps.
No, especially not in 1840. It really hadn't started to proliferate at that point. Mostly open flame.
Even 88.
When it was. Yeah, when there was.
Even 88, when the Ripper murders happened.
Yeah.
And it was one of the ways the Ripper, he must have had night vision or something, because the way he got away with it, one of the ways, was that it was pitch black. I mean, nobody had any vision. You were feeling your way through.
And he likely dressed primarily in dark colors too, or black.
Well, it was going to be, with all the soot in the air and the shit all over the road and the sidewalks, it was going to be that way by noon anyway.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was a terrible time. When people talk about this Dickensian stuff, and they're not exaggerating in just how unbelievably awful it was.
And that's part of what Christmas Carol is all about. It's sure it's about hope and conversion and all of that, but it's also about the terrible, awful conditions and poverty that industrial England was really dealing with.
that people who could afford tickets
Yeah.
to hear Charles Dickens perform the damn thing needed to be reminded of.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that some of them probably walked out. Some of the descriptions.
Yeah.
It was very controversial, I think, in that respect. Some of his works, obviously, Nicholas Nickleby and David Copperfield, all of the stuff that he wrote had elements of that in it: social conscience, social commentary, and Christmas Carol is no exception to that.
There's a Dickens book called The Rise and Fall of Stuckett and Felch that is gets into that pretty deeply. It's worth looking at.
They do. I do think one of the most unsung things about this is the transition from light to dark and back again. It's really well done in this movie, from the darkness of Ebenezer's room to when the ghost Marley first appears. It's not just the sound of the chains, and that's the thing too. Every Christmas Carol movie, I feel, is 90% sound too. It's not just the light and the dark; it's the sound.
Well,
too.
without light,
yeah.
If you have that much dark, what else you got? You gotta have sound.
Right.
Yeah. Which is really good and I like how they did the tunnel sequence with all the poor in there too, like the poor family in the brick tunnel, and the children underneath the rail was really well done. I mean,
did either of you guys see the Guy Pearce Christmas Carol a few years ago?
No,
I didn't.
This is I don't think I was ready for it. I don't think I was ready for it to be as long as it was, because I think it's like 4 hours long. But it gets into the weird mythology of who forged the chain and all of this stuff. It's very, very deep dish. I think it's worth a second look. So if you can find it and you want to look at it, it's a very dark.
You know what year it came out?
Yeah, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was very recent.
Okay.
And it was, like A&E or one of these.
It would be interesting to compare to the other performances. I already have the sort of classic approach of, it's almost a 19th century approach that Alistair Sim does, and then you've got Patrick Stewart doing almost Shakespearean until the end when he gets vulnerable, but then it's a Shakespeare comedy almost. And then you have this one, which is, it's interesting because this one is really, at times he's very understated, but he's always in the character is on fire inside of him. You can see it all the time. He's a method actor, and he was proud of that, and he had his insecurities over that and all sorts of other things as an actor, but he really brings it in this. It's different. It's fresher. It still is after 40 years. It's a different interpretation. I mean, I was actually even the first time that I saw Muppet Christmas, I was even impressed with what Michael Caine did with it, because he treated the Muppets like fellow actors instead of, I'm in a Muppet movie, that kind of. So he was very straightforward. But it was his performance was almost too understated in some ways. But I think that was because he was trying so hard to maintain a relationship as an actor with these puppets.
Yeah.
But this performance, Scott's performance is wonderful. I mean, I really, it may be the top one for me. If it's not, it's tied with.
It's awfully good.
It is.
And he's surrounded by such good actors. We always hear, hey, if you're an unsteady actor, surround yourself with better actors.
Oh, absolutely.
But rarely do we get an opportunity where such a fine actor is surrounded by actors who are just as good.
It's like the entire RSC.
It really was. You got Roger Rees running around like the same year he's doing Nicholas Nickleby.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Rees, by the way, was one of the top candidates to play John Sheridan on Babylon 5, starting in season 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he get sick? Is that what the problem was, or
Roger Rees?
Yeah, because he's passed away. He's gone.
No. Roger Rees hung around for a few more years, because that was 93. Okay. He was like Robin Colkerd years. Okay. No, I just don't think he wanted to leave England.
Well, there's that.
And he did that enough for Cheers, and it was something like that. They just couldn't get him. Then they went to Corbin Burnson was going to be it, but then the best, they were going to have Stacy Keach.
That would have been the best. Absolutely.
It would have. Yeah. It would have been Patrick Stewart. Who?
Yeah.
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 I think I'm Bruce, and he's a good guy.
Absolutely.
Is this your favorite Ebenezer Scrooge?
Me?
Scott? Yes, Scott. Is Scott your?
I would say that there was I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna sound like a fanboy, and I don't mean to. You really have to. I beg you to parse that out. David Selby.
Yeah.
I really like David Selby's performance.
Yeah.
In the Ansel Farage version, I thought it was I thought it was marvelous on so many levels. It had moments of broad comedy, but it had I think a very very quiet sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw someone really sifting through everything he had lost. It was very active.
There's also no unnecessary ornamentation. He was like a good singer.
Yes.
Held the note.
Yes. And I wrote this in a review. I really have rarely heard a more heartfelt Merry Christmas than the one he really earns in that story. And there's so many ways that so many elements of that could have fallen into total kitchen camp, and they didn't.
Sure.
And they didn't.
It's also a read, so it's like it has its own challenges that way too. The interpretation has to be there. Even in a read, you still have to be, making connections. You really do.
Yeah. I think it's easy as I'll just speak for myself as a Dark Shadows fan to see them go into those characters, because that's something we saw on DS time and time again. DS was like a live stage play. With the read along too, it was sort of like the same thing in a sense, but without they had some of the costumes on, like the hats and stuff like that, which was really cool. And they all did a great job. I mean, it was fabulous.
They had some prep, which was good. Yeah. They had some things to prepare. So it's always good to give an actor something to do.
Yeah, it's really good. They did an amazing job. Everybody. Mine is Reginald Owen, the guy who originally played the original black and white Ebenezer Scrooge. Also, he did a really good job. George C. Scott is an amazing actor. I'm glad he got to do Ebenezer Scrooge, because he should have did Ebenezer Scrooge. I
remember hearing about it and seeing the little 10-second blurbs for it on the TV and going, are you kidding me? George C. Scott? Well, this could be interesting.
Yeah, he didn't do TV movies.
He doesn't usually do any of that sort of thing. And let's see if the little small screen can hold him,
But of course, at this point in his career, he was making things like Firestarter.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
George was, I think, invested in picking up a paycheck. And
as all people looking at their, later years might feel, especially in the acting profession.
A lot of actors, like at that age, were doing roles that they could just get. Look at Clu Gallagher was doing a lot of horror movies.
Sure.
And he was once a Western television star. So to see George C. Scott in a TV movie was, again, I didn't see it when it first came out. I saw it on television later.
Yeah.
I mean, he nails it. I mean, he does a hell of a job.
It's become a classic. It's shown every year somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
Cast every year somewhere.
Yeah, you'll catch this like sometimes on AMC, sometimes on AB, like I forget. Freeform, I think, is the family is one of the family channels. I think it plays there.
It almost feels like it gets rediscovered
Yeah.
every 4 or 5 years, you know,
Sure.
and there's some new presentation of it, or somebody makes a big deal out of this DVD release or something like that.
And also, the younger audience is going to rediscover things because they outgrow or grow past certain things, and then comes along, and that's always nice to inject, especially with a story like this. This is a story that's exposed to kids. You know, it's a very adult story. Kids can enjoy it too. You know, they can, as long as they don't get scared.
Okay.
Who's you guys' favorite ghost in this story?
Edward Woodward.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's marvelous. God, he's so
He's
good.
so overbearingly, you know, jolly, and then he's like, he gets you, you know.
And if you've only seen him on The Equalizer and in The Wicker Man, it's what a multi-dimensional performer he is. How great! What, this is all new colors from him. And he's playing a very appropriate as someone who plays a very appropriate old school Father Christmas.
Yes.
That's you know, he's nails it. The green robe, everything.
He needs to have that kind of almost overpowering energy, as opposed to the other ghosts, which have
his best. It's his best Brian Blessed impression.
It is. Let's go climb a mountain, Ebenezer.
Yeah.
You know who? I know the Ghost of Christmas Future and all these usually doesn't get a voice. But you know who they should have tapped for a voice in any of them? Because he actually voiced Death in a commercial in Britain. Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, he was still doing his thing back then, so
But there's a commercial where in England, I don't know if you've ever seen this, where these kids playing near a pond, and he's basically voicing death. Like, hey, do you leave your kids unattended near dangerous waters? Be careful, they could die and it's like scary as shit.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
But yeah,
intense.
I do like Angela Pleasance as the Ghost of Christmas Past in here.
Great.
Does a really great job. So one of my favorite scenes in this too is, again, when he opens the robe and you see the two kids. I think that's really
that's really. I think that's a Dickens though.
They changed the line. It's supposed to be beware these, but most of all beware this boy, for he is ignorance, and on his forehead is doom. It's ignorance that's the worst, supposedly. But it's fine. What they did was absolutely fine. You know, the terrors of both of them. It's what you want. And I also like the fact that the kids, I've been in stage productions where the kids were in rags, and they literally came out from under his rug, and they were feral, and they went after. They would go after. I am what? I am ignorant. You know, that kind of thing. And Christmas Present would just hold them, keep them going any further. We're going to consume him. So I thought that was kind of fun. But this was great because it gives the distance that Scrooge wants to keep. He wants to stay away from them. He doesn't even want to look at them. And so, okay, I'll make them go away, but they still live. It's the kind of thing. It's like, okay, it's not, you want to put it out of your mind. It's not going to make them any less real. So, yeah, I love Edward Woodward's performance in that. It was fantastic. Just, you know, jolly Father Christmas, and then in the next second he's going, man, oh man, you be and not adamant. Will you decide where the surplus is and where it is and all that stuff?
On the cab ride over to the studio, we were talking about how Christmas is a very contemplative time. You know, everybody talks about holiday depression and stuff like that, and that's not always it. It is you know, after your first Christmas, every Christmas is about the past.
Yeah, you always
you get one.
Yep.
You get one that's where it's fresh, and then everything else is about the past. And it can be healthy. it's kind of like a prelude to New Year's, which is about looking forward to the future. I think there's a reason why these rituals, are so long lasting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this other ambiguity to Christmas that also exists about, give her a pain and delight, Santa, which, in other parts of Europe, they don't worry about because they have Krampus.
That's right.
But in England and in the United States, it's very Judeo-Christian because it's all one guy, and maybe he's your friend, maybe he's not, but he's writing everything down. And
The duality of reward punishment exists in our Santa.
and the three layers of that there's reward, Christmas past, there's punishment, Christmas future, which makes the portrayal of Christmas present a very, very, very interesting and dicey bit of interpretation. Probably the toughest bit of interpretation in the show, if you're ever to be honest. And yet it's often one of the blandest.
Yeah. Krampus is a really good movie. If you're looking for horror Christmas, that's the movie to go for sure.
Well, now, in the English, they're crazy about mixing horror and Christmas. It's my understanding the British royal family, maybe still, certainly up to a certain point, at I guess at Hampton Court or something like that, would see Macbeth every year at Christmas, on Christmas Eve. That was their tradition. I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess a living manger isn't enough. It's got to destroy all of Scotland.
Plus, the best Christmas gift for all the royals would be to watch Scotland die.
The woods, yeah. The woods. They're cheering for the woods in Dunsinane.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
It's so many to count. It's every scene is my favorite scene of A Christmas Carol. I think it's possible. It's like absolute zero.
Mm-hmm. I like what happens with what Scott does with the scene where he gets it, and he still has to accept the fact that he's dead. It's this old, yes. I get it. No, I have to look. Okay.
I think that for me, I really, really, really love all the stuff with Tiny Tim's death, and it's not because I hate kids. It's because that's the kind of thing that normally is, as a director, I refer to as the trap. It's the thing that's the easiest to overplay and to go to Branson with it, and the suffering is so well drawn.
Yeah, it is.
And so exact. The performances are so, if you look at David Warner talking about his walk home and all of that, it is so pointillistic that it's like it ceases to be acting. And it makes you really appreciate the stakes of the story.
Right. And this is where directorially it's decided that we're going to trust the audience. We're not going to hit them over the head with a damned hammer. They know the story, so let them experience it in this way, and let them,
And if they don't, they're not idiots.
It's right. They're not.
There's a crutch without an owner. Oh shit, Tiny Tim's dead.
Right. And the great thing is that's also the peak of one of the main themes of this, that's stated throughout it, and that is, show me some tenderness, show me some depth of feeling. Because he has none at the beginning. He's closed it off so much. And then as right from past, it's like, I want to know more. I want to know more. I'm still a grumpy son of a gun, but I'm and so this whole idea of the longing for these things that he doesn't have, this thing. He's got all the money he needs. He's got all of this avarice and greed going for him, and he's not going to die broke. Even though he's living in these giant opulent rooms that have gone into disrepair because he's too cheap to really keep them spruced up.
Okay, so now we're gonna inject a little presentism in here, just a little bit, just dip our toe in, and then step back out.
No problem.
because I was railing against someone who gave me a presentist reading on, oh God, Invention of Lying. And it's like, just you don't know what it was like.
Yeah.
Bush administration wasn't pretty. But here, I think it would be very easy to read the state of Scrooge's home as not really parsimony, but depression.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive depression.
Well, he is a depressed individual. There's no doubt.
He is. I mean, and to look at him, because I have another reading on Scrooge that I think's interesting. I think it needs something that supports it. But you know, Industrial Revolution, pre-Industrial Revolution, it really tough time.
Mm-hmm.
Scrooge is upper middle class, which not always easy back then. And he follows the Horatio Alger, even though it's in America, that follows the model. It is there are very few support systems. He's trying to be a good provider for Belle. He wants to be a good provider there. I assume a suitable husband who's can provide. And he's he really gets crapped on. He has one friend, it may have been more than a friend, who dies. And it could be that he's so cheap he moves into his house, or it could be he's so brokenhearted or so depressed that it's the closest he can be to the only person who would really give him the time of day.
Yeah.
We don't know we don't know how they made each other laugh. I'm sure they did. We don't know what their relationship was like, and we don't really know. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't really know what the last straw was that made him decide I'm not going to go to Fred's, if he ever went, or what was the rational thing that made him say, no, I'm not going to have fellowship with these people.
In the vicious cycle of depression, a lot of times you don't want to be around people who are contented or happy. You're addicted to it, chemically addicted to depression.
Yeah,
it's one of the pitfalls that can exist with it. I mean, I'm not talking about your average mild depression. I'm talking about a serious clinical depression.
Yeah,
so
I think Scrooge is dealing with a lot of that.
He is.
Not even the fact that he doesn't really notice how cold it is. That he's so disassociated from that. And I think he's kind of self-conscious about it. When Cratchit brings it up, I think that may be the reason he attacks Cratchit, is not that he's cheap. It's that he's kind of embarrassed that this basic human thing, it's just not registering.
Right.
I think the other thing too is with his nephew looking so much like his sister, being around Fred is a constant reminder of who he lost.
Of course.
And he does look like Belle.
Yeah.
He may have forgotten it, but he never really forgot it.
No, he didn't.
And all he needs is a slight nudge to say, this isn't what you lost, this is what you still have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thing too. It's like he's made decisions that it's like he said, I almost chased after her, the girl who he was in love with. And it's like, but you didn't.
That girl, that's the one he's working for. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that too. It's like, okay, you chose not to chase the woman you love. You can't always.
She also rejected his worldview. That's what happened. He's chosen not to do it, but she actually is the one who releases him. He is released.
Yeah, but too, love doesn't always. Sometimes with love, you can't. You got to chase it. It wants to.
Yeah, it's true. But she also, the reason also why the releasing is dramatic is because he's entered into a compact with her. They're engaged, and in that time, breaking an engagement was a big deal. Because you could, as a man, breaking the engagement was sort of a betrayal of various things. It could have been dowry or whatever. I mean, a business deal between parents, all sorts of things. would socially make that, even if there wasn't a dowry, would socially make that a really serious thing. So she releases him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. To go after the money and the security, as opposed to taking the risk and marrying her and then going after it.
Yeah. Who's you guys' favorite character?
Scrooge. Scrooge. I mean, and maybe he's not supposed to be. Maybe we're supposed to like one of the side characters, one of the ghosts, but George Scott's so good.
Now for that you go to the Muppet Christmas Carol. The ghosts.
The ghosts. Now, my favorite scene in the Muppet Christmas Carol is when Michael Caine's Ebenezer Scrooge picks up one of the Muppets and tosses their ass out of the building. It's like, Jesus Christ.
So much like WrestleMania 4.
What would Nicole Williamson in a Muppet Christmas Carol be like?
Oh my God.
He would eat one of them.
He would probably fight tooth and nail with the director and all the puppeteers.
You know who they did miss out on being Ebenezer Scrooge though?
Who? What?
Orson Welles.
Oh, he would have been great.
Yeah.
He would have been great. Although Orson so goes to Christmas Past. And he just is roaring and laughing. And eyes, it's a real false staff thing.
Yeah, have this bottle of Paul Masson, Scrooge.
Yes.
What's her name's Peas? I always love that. So.
It was Mrs. Winters or something like that. Or Peas.
Yeah.
Mrs. Field.
Mrs. Field.
Grew up there. From Chris Crust, it's hard to say. From Chris Crust.
Yeah, in Muppet Christmas, Fozzie Bear is Fosworth. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah,
Fozzie-wig.
So the Christmas Carol from Hell, I think, would have been Werner Herzog directing Nicole Williamson with the Muppets.
Now,
put that together.
Good Werner Herzog movies must have the insane. Well, that's Nicole.
Well, it would be
also.
It would be shot in the Arctic or on the edge of a volcano or something like that. Yeah. Just it was about to erupt, something deadly.
You'd also have to have, fresh off of his tour of duty as Fitzcarraldo.
Who does
Klaus Kinski in there somewhere.
Who does Klaus play?
Probably
Bob Cratchit.
Marley, and he would physically attack.
Physically attack him. I think Cratchit, just barely containing his rage at Tiny Tim's death and
carrying a shillelagh. Which is that's the motivation for Scrooge going, oh, double your salary.
Just being chased around. Because Klaus Kinski is one of the only people who could probably intimidate Nicole Williamson and match him crazy for crazy. And they
intimidated everybody, incling
God! So you get Oliver Reed as the ghost of Christmas past in that.
Yeah.
And he'd be
on a job.
Inside the head. It'd be a violent Christmas Carol.
It's very violent.
They fix the set every day after Oliver Reed gets into a drunken fight with one of the castmates. Oh my God.
This is wanton ignorance. Now get out of here.
And what you do too is you get Stanley Kubrick to direct it because he likes to agitate the shit out of people.
86.
Yeah.
It becomes a very sterile, antiseptic Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Why not? Right? This is a 10 for sure. This one is really, really good.
Yeah. Ring the bell. Absolutely.
They do need to listen. I would say a wrestling Christmas Carol would be more entertaining than a shit show on TV
I would
today.
watch that in a heartbeat. Even I would watch that.
I would. I really would.
Hulk Hogan would be Christmas present. Come on, brother. Let me show you something.
Christmas present. Yeah, the Undertaker would be Ghost of Christmas Future. Yeah.
That would have to be the Undertaker.
to give it legitimacy, you would have to have some non-wrestler as Ebenezer Scrooge in the middle of it.
Yeah.
That who would be? I vote for Artie Johnson.
Yeah.
That would especially, and it would be kind of hilarious too, because alongside all these huge wrestlers, he would look like a dwarf or a midget. I mean, he was a small man. He wasn't very big.
I had in the trunk of my car for 10 years Artie Johnson's nun's costume from Nun Sets.
Oh wow! Oh cool!
You bought him from Dan Goggin himself, I guess.
Yes,
Goggin had all this
we
nun
got props
stuff.
from Dan Goggin when we did our production of it,
and it had Artie Johnson's name on the back of the Mother Superior outfit, and it still fit me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can send this to you guys. Hold on. It's not a Christmas themed thing, but it's funny. Let's see if
Isn't that picture of Wonder Woman I did? Is it?
No. Oh
good
my God. I don't know if this was.
I never get thanked for that. That was really good.
I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But
no, I wouldn't put the picture of Wonder Woman on this. Where is it? It's in chat. So open chat. Open Sesame. Instagram.
Yeah.
Accept the file. Yeah. Now it's downloading. Okay. Good Christ, what is this? This is I just got a bunch of question marks.
I think you have to go to the actual website to see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. It's supposed to be a picture of Charlie Brown dressed as Jason Voorhees coming out the water for the girl who moved the football away.
Oh, well, that's, Lucy is a terrible character. I don't know why people like her. I think she's a real creep. She's dislikable.
She stimulates misogyny. Justifiable.
Well, she does. She justifies all sorts of misogyny. What an awful person she is. Poor Charlie Brown. And yet, then we have to turn around and say, Charlie Brown, you believed it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the amelioration for Lucy is her brother.
Linus. Sure. By the way, what's up with airline food? That's all I have to say.
I don't know. The only thing I had was a Virgin Bloody Mary and a water, I think,
on your flight. You got that? You must have been flying first class.
We don't have real food on Allegiant Air, so
you got that much? That's impressive. Oh, you paid for it with our dearest blood.
Everything costs money on Allegiant.
Isn't that awful? You used to fly, and it was a vacation.
It was still the cheapest, and I paid extra for leg room too, and it was still.
You have to pay extra for leg room?
Yeah, it's like $30 for leg room.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And you're my height. I mean, we are not towering.
No.
Towering individuals.
I do have rather long legs. So
I will take you at your word for that. I didn't notice. But you seem.
Well, I don't shave them, so they don't stand out. So.
Okay. Well, there's that.
But the trip
for East Blackburn.
The round trip here to Bangor and back to Orlando, which is like 1,1700 miles one way, was only about $450, and that included everything, including cancellation insurance, everything. And the next cheapest airline, I think, was probably either American or Delta at close to $800 for a round trip ticket. And this was back in October. I got my tickets back in like mid-October. So it worked out. Worked out okay.
Yeah. This has been fun, guys. Patrick, I'll see you Saturday for Star Wars.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to. Tomorrow you're busy doing things.
Yes, we'll be doing Christmas Carol things.
Well, I won't be. No, my wife has to work tomorrow. Kids will be opening presents. That'll be my day.
Jewel, what are you doing at night?
Nothing really.
You want to look at that Guy Pearce Christmas Carol?
I think it's on Hulu. I think
it's good.
I think.
It's good. I own it. I have it on iTunes. So,
Yeah.
Alan, you'll be enjoying Fellowship, but if
I
you
will.
want to turn your back on your family, we'll be.
Spend 4 hours watching Guy Pearce. I will do that at some point, but I don't.
It's really good. It's interesting. I didn't finish it, and I didn't finish it not because it was bad, but it was so radically different from what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. Is it contemporary or
No?
Is it, no,
it's Victorian.
Okay,
it's Victorian, but it delves deep into the huge mythology of
all of the various aspects. And
yeah.
Alan will slip out the room, but hey, where'd he go?
Study, sure. Well, if I get pissed off at my family and I watch it, I'll click on the join the thing. Otherwise,
Show them anyway.
So yeah, tomorrow we'll do tomorrow night we'll do Guy Pearce's Christmas Carol. I've never seen it, so I'll watch it.
It's very interesting.
Okay, so guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jewel.
So,
thank you for a
see
great
you tomorrow night, guys.
Bye.